Good morning and welcome to the Cohen Group Northwest studio. Today is Wednesday, and that means it's time for this week's market update. I have May's numbers all ready to go over with you, and today we are going to be screen sharing just to make some of the numbers a little bit more visually understandable. As always, information and statistics are derived from data available from the Northwest MLS. We are going to check out this particular graphic. This is a quick overview of the Whatcom County residential market. As always, I'm focusing on single family residential homes. We saw 407 new listings come on the market and 285 homes closed. Median days on market for those closed listings was 5, and we saw a median closed price of $650,000. One thing that's exciting to me is seeing this number. We saw about 1.5 months worth of inventory come on the market over the span of 1 month. That inventory rate is where we take an average of how quickly homes have sold over the past 15 months to get a rate for each month's typical selling speed. And then we take the amount of new inventory that came on that month, run the numbers and go, oh, sweet, we actually had a surge of inventory this month versus the average number of homes sold. Now, don't get too terribly excited. This is a moment of seasonality where we're on the top of the seasonality curve. Typically, we see a lot fewer homes come on the market in November, December, January, and then April, May, June, July are some of our top months for new inventory. So we need to see numbers like this for it to average out to a stasis even of 1 month's worth of inventory each month on average. Our median prices year over year, so May of 2022 versus May of 2021, strong appreciation gains, no surprise there, but in the 20s, 22.6% median price increase this year versus the same month last year. New listings are up and the number of homes closed are up as well. Now let's take a look at May. Similar numbers here as far as the amount of inventory that came on the market as that going rate or metric. Median closed price is way up 26.7% over what the median was for May of 2021, and a median closed price of $730,000. Now, regardless of all the conversations that are happening and I believe need to happen around a market slowing down or a market shifting, it's numbers like this that remain very good news for current homeowners and people considering selling. Even if the market were to stop appreciating, as in go from an appreciation gain of 20 to 25% all the way down to a 0% appreciation gain, you've seen this amount of growth in the matter of 1 year. So if you've owned your home for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years or more, you've seen a significant amount of equity gain just due to market appreciation. So even if the market were to slow down, homes take longer to sell, we're still seeing very strong prices for sellers. Number of homes closed is up. Number of new listings is up year over year. And for homes that closed in May, we still saw a significant amount of percentage of sale price over list price. Now, this data is 35 to 45 to 60, depending on the house, days delayed, because houses that close in May went under contract most likely in April or early or late March. A lot of homes are closing in 30 to 45 days, which means that this is reflective of what the heat of the going under contract market was back in those months, March and April, not necessarily what it's looking like today. So there's our quick overview. Now, I wanted to point out a couple of specific stats that I pulled on Monday morning. I shared them on our Instagram stories because it couldn't wait till today. But here's a quick overview. Active listings, the number of homes available on the market is up 36% versus the same week, roughly. The dates are slightly off, but roughly the same week in May. This is fantastic as far as the number of homes that are available for anyone to be shopping for or looking at. And on an anecdotal side note, it is interesting to list a couple houses as we have recently and hear from people like, this is one of their favorites, but they're actually looking at 2 or 3 options. This is fantastic news. This is great news for our market and our community as a whole. It means that listing agents are going to have to work a little bit harder, but this is what we are thrilled for, is some sort of balance might start tipping back into this market. Price reductions is another indication of a market that is maybe reaching its cap, at least for the current situation. Roughly 10%, this isn't an exact figure, roughly 10% of single-family residential listings saw a price reduction in the last 7 days. Now, I pulled this number on Monday morning, so it was tracking the 7 days prior. It's a snapshot, not a constant. But that was a really neat number to look at and go, not every home is selling for over list price. Not every home is selling in 5 days or 7 days or 2 weeks. And some people have been pricing their homes too aggressively and now have to backpedal, either because they weren't aware of the data or because the market is now shifting so quickly that the data, like I said before, is a little bit delayed and we might not have all the information at the moment that we're pricing a home. And then the market speaks, your home stays on the market for 7 to 14 days. You might get feedback around it, might get feedback that buyers have other options. Now's a great time to consider a price reduction and have just realistic expectations of what this market now looks like. Now, speaking of a market shift, this isn't a shift to a new, different market. It's different than what we've experienced over the last 2.5 years, but it is not abnormal. This is a shift towards something that should be normal and is normal in a more fair or balanced market. Now, this video was one that Leo and I did, I believe, last week or 2 weeks ago on a market in transition. It's sort of a blend of a market update and dispatches from the front. And Leo broke down a whole bunch of critical information for those of us who might have been, whether if we're a real estate broker, we might have been licensed less than 3 years, or for someone who's not really paid attention to the home market except in the last couple of years. You've been watching Zillow, but you didn't really watch Zillow back in 2018. This is a list of just some examples of things that are normal. We haven't seen a lot of them the last couple of years, but this is the type of thing we might be seeing a trend back towards. One thing that's not listed on this particular list, but we talk about in the video, is contingent sales, where if you already own a home, but you would need to sell it at the same time as purchasing a new one, there are forms and contingencies available to structure that. That's a more risky offer for a seller to take, and so those have been much more difficult to get accepted over the last couple of years. Our team has gotten 3 accepted in the last 6 weeks. So all of this is a really positive indication towards a market that's a little bit more not balanced in the sense of prices dropping, but balanced in the sense that buyers and sellers can have actual conversations and meet about what might work for their specific transaction. Seller paid closing costs to help buyers out while still retaining high prices, negotiating repairs and inspection. The sellers are being held accountable for the product that they're selling, which is a good and healthy thing to have in our market. And then longer days on market. It's really exhausting as a broker, as a buyer, and as a seller to list a home on Thursday, get multiple phone calls in the first 20 minutes of a house being on market, have 35 showings over the weekend, and 13 offers coming in that have to be negotiated, reviewed, and signed off on by Tuesday. And then for all the buyers that lost, they're doing it again with all the new listings on Thursday and Friday. So moving towards a better stasis means that homes stay on the market for 5 to 7 to 10 to 14 days to 3 weeks to 2 months. That's okay. That is something that we're excited to see more of as we move into this new market. And as always, if you have any questions about what to expect or what we're seeing day to day, feel free to reach out to any of your brokers here at the Cohn Group Northwest. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any specific data or housing market questions, and I'm happy to take a look into those for you. So that, friends, was this week's market update, and I will see you next time.